Good morning, students. Here we start with the gross anatomy of phrenic nerves. So within the gross anatomy of phrenic nerves, the phrenic nerve, they are having three types of functional components. So first of all, they will have a motor component which will carry motor fibers from the diaphragm. Then they will have sensory component. This sensory component will carry sensory fiber sensations from the mediastinal pleura, diaphragmatic pleura, the peritoneum that is lining the undersurface of diaphragm, as well as pericardium. So from these parts, the sensations are carried by sensory fibers through the phrenic nerve. That is also very important. Once again, the sensations are carried by the pericardium, the mediastinal pleura, diaphragmatic pleura, and the peritoneum. And the last component will be sympathetic component, where it will have this sympathetic component. Mostly it is comprising of postganglionic neurons, and they will have, or they will exhibit vasomotor function. They will have vasomotor function, sympathetic component. So these three components are present within the phrenic nerve. And the two phrenic nerves, right and left phrenic nerves, they are having the rootlets such as, for example, these two phrenic nerves are formed by the ventral rami of C3, then ventral rami of C4, and ventral rami of C5. So therefore, the ventral rami of C3, C4, and C5, they will constitute the phrenic nerve. This is the formation of phrenic nerve. So therefore, in the formation of the phrenic nerve, the ventral rami of C3, C4 and C5 will form or constitute the phrenic nerve. Now here also, sometimes this C5 rootlet will have a different course, or it will separate and it will form accessory phrenic nerve. And this accessory phrenic nerve will join the C5 rootlet. Sometimes, if it is a separate one, it will join with the main trunk of phrenic nerve in the thorax via nerve to subclavius. This is a 1 mark question answer. So therefore, in those cases where there is presence of a different rootlet of C5, accessory phrenic nerve, which will join with the main trunk of phrenic nerve via the nerve to subclavius, via nerve to the subclavius. This is very important. So this is how the formation of phrenic nerve is there. Ventral rami of C3, C4, C5. These are the basic rootlets. And now, after the formation, we come to the most important segment of the phrenic nerve, and that is the course. In order to understand the long course of the phrenic nerve, it is very important and mandatory to draw the diagram, line diagram, which I am going to draw. Very simple line diagram. We will take maximum use of this board. So therefore, short diagram we are going to draw. Let us draw this as the scalenus anterior muscle. We show this scalenus anterior muscle of one side, and we show that it is triangular. Same way over here, we show the scalenus anterior muscle of the other side, and it is triangular. So therefore here, these are the two scalenus anterior muscle, right and left side. Now after drawing these two muscles, scalenus anterior muscle, we shall draw phrenic nerve. Now remember, the phrenic nerve will cross the scalenus anterior muscle from its anterior aspect in such a way that it will cross from lateral margin and perpendicular or vertically from anterior side of the scalenus anterior muscle downwards. So it will cross the lateral margin of scalenus anterior muscle, and this phrenic nerve on the right side as well as the phrenic nerve on the left side will pass superficial to the scalenus anterior muscle, where it will be plastered to that muscle by prevertebral fascia. So there will be presence of prevertebral fascia which will cover the phrenic nerve. This course is very important. So the first landmark that we have marked here will be the scalenus anterior muscle, and we will mark this as the phrenic nerve. And over here, this is the left side, and over here we shall mark it as the right side. So we now know that phrenic nerve has a vertical course in the cervical region, crossing superficial to the scalenus anterior muscle. Now, here downwards as it passes through the over the scalenus anterior muscle, it will be related with the two sides subclavian artery. So therefore, on both the sides subclavian artery, here we show the subclavian artery in this way. This is the subclavian artery. Over here also we shall show the subclavian artery. So these are the two subclavian, right and left subclavian. And we know that scalenus anterior muscle is dividing the subclavian artery into three different parts. Medial to it, then one segment which is lying subclavian artery which is lying posterior to the scalenus anterior muscle, and another segment of subclavian artery which lies lateral to it. So therefore these two subclavian arteries, we show that they are passing behind the scalenus anterior muscle, or rather the scalenus anterior muscle is crossing the subclavian artery. And to complete this two subclavian artery, we show that here this is the subclavian artery which is passing in this direction. Over here also this is the subclavian artery. So scalenus anterior muscle is present over the subclavian artery in the middle part. Now what we show is one branch of subclavian artery that is known as the internal thoracic artery. So that internal thoracic artery, we show that internal thoracic artery, with the help of this arrow we are showing the presence of internal thoracic artery. So these two are the internal thoracic artery. Here we shall mark it as subclavian artery on both the sides and here we will mark this as internal thoracic artery on both the sides, right and left. Now the phrenic nerve, both the sides, right and left, will cross the internal thoracic artery from lateral to medial side, from its front, from its anterior. So therefore here it is going to cross from lateral to medial in this way. So therefore the phrenic nerve is crossing the internal thoracic artery from lateral to medial. Here also it will cross from lateral to medial from its front. This relation is very important. As it is crossing the internal thoracic artery from lateral to medial from its front, it will enter the region of the thorax. So this is the landmark where it will enter the region of the thorax. So it will enter straight away superior mediastinum of the thorax. Now here, as it enters the superior mediastinum of the thorax, it will then travel through the middle mediastinum, and then it will pass. The rest of the course we will discuss further. Before discussing the course in the thorax, where we shall draw a small portion of the heart, first we need to discuss the phrenic nerve and its relations in the neck. Now here in the neck, where my finger is there, this phrenic nerve on both the sides, it is covered by the following structures. That means, what are the structures which are lying superficial to phrenic nerve? Lot of structures are there which are lying superficial to phrenic nerve in the neck. So those structures are skin, superficial fascia, then there will be the platysma muscle, then deep cervical fascia, then there will be presence of the jugular vein, and then all these structures, omohyoid muscle and sternocleidomastoid muscle, these two muscles, sternocleidomastoid muscle and omohyoid, these structures are present superficial to phrenic nerve in the neck. They have been removed once we remove those structures through dissection. Now we draw very simple two arteries that will cross the phrenic nerve, which is usually asked in MCQs or 1 mark question answer. What are those two arteries which will cross the phrenic nerve? Those two arteries, with the help of this diagram which has been given in all the textbooks, beautiful diagram. So here we show the branch of phrenic, the branch of the subclavian artery first, that is thyrocervical branch. Remember here, this is the thyrocervical branch which we are showing. So this is the thyrocervical branch of the subclavian artery. Over here also we show the thyrocervical branch of the subclavian artery. So this is the thyrocervical branch. Now here this thyrocervical branch will divide into three arteries. The name of those three arteries will be this artery here, which we have drawn on both the sides, is called inferior thyroid artery. So it will be known as inferior thyroid artery. And the remaining two arteries, this is the diagram which we need to concentrate and draw. The remaining two arteries will cross the phrenic nerve from its anterior side. And the name of those arteries are the suprascapular and transverse cervical artery. So from this we show the first arrow, and from here we show the second arrow. Over here also we show the first arrow, and over here the second arrow. Now these two arteries, they are now known as, for example here we shall name this as suprascapular artery, and this artery we will name it as transverse cervical artery. So therefore, from thyrocervical trunk, from the thyrocervical trunk, this is the thyrocervical trunk, this is the thyrocervical trunk. From thyrocervical trunk, this thyrocervical trunk is a branch of subclavian artery. There will be three arteries. The first artery will be running vertical, that is called the inferior thyroid artery, and the next two branches of thyrocervical trunk, that is the suprascapular transverse cervical, here also suprascapular transverse cervical, they will travel transversely in front of phrenic nerve. This relation is very important. So the suprascapular artery and transverse cervical artery will pass in front of phrenic nerve. This is the diagram. This relation is very important. And also on the left hand side, you can show the presence of thoracic duct at this level. So there will be the presence of thoracic duct which is crossing anteriorly at this level. So therefore, here these are the structures which are lying anterior to the phrenic nerve. The structures which are lying anterior to phrenic nerve, and we are having the suprascapular artery and transverse cervical artery. Both are branches of thyrocervical trunk which are crossing the phrenic nerve from the front. Now, here, what is important are, what are the posterior relations of the phrenic nerve? What are the structures which are present posterior to phrenic nerve at this level, that is in the cervical region? Three structures are related posterior to the phrenic nerve in the cervical region. Those three structures are: number one, scalenus anterior muscle. Scalenus anterior muscle. Number two, subclavian artery. And number three, there will be the presence of internal thoracic artery, because we know that internal thoracic artery, the phrenic nerve is crossing from lateral to medial side from the front. The internal thoracic artery, the phrenic nerve is crossing from lateral to medial side from the front. So therefore now comes the important Viva question or 1 mark question answer or MCQ, very important. What is the relation of phrenic nerve with the subclavian artery on the right side as well as on the left side? From the diagram itself we are able to calculate, we are able to see very clearly. On the right hand side, the phrenic nerve will cross the second part of subclavian artery. Remember, this is the second part of subclavian artery, the artery which lies behind the scalenus anterior muscle. And on the left hand side, the phrenic nerve is crossing the first part of subclavian artery, where my finger is there. This is the first part of subclavian artery, because second part of subclavian artery will be lying behind the scalenus anterior muscle. So on the left hand side, phrenic nerve will cross the first part of subclavian artery from the front, and on the right hand side, phrenic nerve will cross second part of subclavian artery. Please note down, very important. Once again, in the last time I am going to tell you, phrenic nerve will cross the second part of subclavian artery on the right hand side, and phrenic nerve will cross, see here in the diagram, first part of subclavian artery from its front on the left hand side. These are the two major differences, relation of phrenic nerve in front with subclavian artery behind. So after noting those two relations, now the last segment in the cervical region. How can you identify in dissection the phrenic nerve? Now this phrenic nerve in dissection can also be identified by another way. There will be a branch of ascending cervical artery, which is a branch of inferior thyroid artery. A branch is given from inferior thyroid artery, which is called ascending cervical artery, and that ascending cervical artery will accompany the phrenic nerve. So therefore, the location of ascending cervical artery, it will serve as a guide for identification of phrenic nerve. Very important. Now, after understanding the concepts of phrenic nerve in the cervical region, we come to the thoracic region. What will happen in the thoracic region? And we know that it has entered the superior mediastinum by crossing the internal thoracic artery from lateral to medial side from the front. And so it has entered superior mediastinum. From here it will travel down in the middle mediastinum, phrenic nerve, in the thoracic component. Now let us take the right phrenic nerve first. Right phrenic nerve, after crossing internal thoracic artery from lateral to medial side, once it enters the thorax in the superior mediastinum and middle mediastinum, it will always travel in such a way that it will travel to the right of, now here we are going to draw, it will travel to the right side of the right brachiocephalic vein and superior vena cava. So here if we draw the right brachiocephalic vein, and then if we draw the superior vena cava, so this is the right brachiocephalic vein, and over here this is the superior vena cava. So the phrenic nerve is traveling on the right side of the right brachiocephalic vein and superior vena cava. And let us mark here this side as the right brachiocephalic vein and this structure as the superior vena cava. So it is related to the right of this venous system, right phrenic nerve, and then it will pass on the right side of the right atrium. So therefore here we shall draw the border of the right atrium. We are going to draw this as the border of the right atrium, and this is the lower border of the heart. So we are drawing this as the right atrium. How it will travel through on the right side of the right atrium, outside the fibrous pericardium. So if we show that this is the fibrous pericardium, here we are showing this is the fibrous pericardium. So therefore this right side phrenic nerve will travel just on the right of the fibrous pericardium. And here it will be present between the right side mediastinal pleura and the fibrous pericardium. And then it will travel in such a way that it will pierce the inferior vena caval opening of diaphragm. So here if I show, here I want to show the diaphragm. This is the diaphragm, the green border I am going to show as the diaphragm. And here there is presence of inferior vena cava. This is the inferior vena caval segment which is opening through the diaphragm, and therefore it will pass through the inferior vena caval opening of the diaphragm. This is where I will show it has passed, and then it will divide into the right phrenic sympathetic plexus. So therefore it is passing in the abdomen. It will pass through the inferior vena caval opening of the diaphragm, and the right phrenic nerve will then split into various branches on the undersurface of diaphragm, and it will end as right phrenic sympathetic plexus. So here it will end as the right phrenic sympathetic plexus, and finally it will end in form of the right phrenic ganglion. One of them will end in the form of right phrenic ganglion. So here we are going to show here this as the right phrenic ganglion. So this is the entire course of the right phrenic nerve. Try and understand. So as it has traveled through the inferior vena caval opening of diaphragm, it will pass on the undersurface of the diaphragm, and then here it will split into various branches as it will join the right phrenic sympathetic plexus, and it will end as the right sympathetic ganglion. From here, this right phrenic sympathetic plexus and the right phrenic ganglion will give branches to, this is also very important, it will distribute the branches to inferior vena cava, it will distribute the branches to that of the liver, that is the, which portion of the liver? The coronary and falciform ligaments of liver, also the gallbladder. And finally, it will also provide branches to the right suprarenal gland. So this is the complete termination of the right phrenic nerve, the complete course and termination of the right phrenic nerve. Now we come to the left side. Equally important is the left side. On the left hand side here, if we concentrate, after crossing the internal thoracic artery from lateral to medial side, now here this phrenic nerve will travel in between the left subclavian artery and the left common carotid artery. That also we have discussed in the arch of aorta. So therefore, Now in between, here if supposing we show the left common carotid artery and the left subclavian artery, here we show in this way, then here the phrenic nerve will cross, it will cross one structure that is known as the left vagus nerve. This is the left vagus nerve. So left phrenic nerve will cross the left vagus nerve from the front side, from lateral to medial, in front of, now this is very important, in front of the arch of aorta. So just above or in front of arch of aorta, so here if we draw the arch of aorta, now this is the arch of aorta, here we are showing the arch of aorta. So therefore, if we show the arch of aorta, this is the common carotid, this is the subclavian. Now we show that this will cross the vagus nerve. The left phrenic nerve will cross the vagus nerve from the front, just above the arch of aorta. And as it crosses in the front of the arch of aorta from lateral to medial side, superficial to left vagus nerve, there will be a very thin small vein which is called left superior intercostal vein. That also we have discussed, but we need to show here in the diagram. This left superior intercostal vein will separate, see here, this is the left superior intercostal vein, will separate the left phrenic nerve from the remaining structures. What are the remaining structures? The left vagus nerve, then we have the left inferior cervical sympathetic, the left superior cervical sympathetic cardiac branch and the left inferior cervical cardiac branch of vagus nerve. So therefore the three nerves, once again I will repeat, left inferior cervical cardiac branch of left vagus nerve, that is one. The left inferior cervical cardiac branch of the left vagus nerve and the left superior cervical cardiac branch of left sympathetic nerve. Left superior cervical cardiac branch of left sympathetic nerve, sympathetic chain, and the left vagus nerve. These three nerves are separated from the left phrenic nerve by the left superior intercostal vein. So in short, this left phrenic nerve is crossing from lateral to medial side, the left vagus nerve, and then over the arc of aorta it will pass downwards inferiorly, in such a way that there will be presence of the left superior intercostal vein which will separate the left phrenic nerve from the deep structures. What are those deep three structures? Of course, we have the one left vagus nerve, but present between the left phrenic nerve and left vagus nerve, two more nerves are there. And they are the left inferior cervical cardiac branch of the left vagus nerve and the left superior cervical cardiac branch of left sympathetic chain. So therefore, these three nerves are separated from the left phrenic nerve in the front by left superior intercostal vein. This is the diagram which we need to understand. And now, since this is asked in lot of MCQs or one mark question answer, now this phrenic nerve will travel. How does it travel? It will now deviate laterally after crossing these structures from the front. It will then deviate laterally in this way. And here we show the left ventricle, lateral border of the left ventricle. Here we show this border in this way. And we show the fibrous pericardium also covering this in this way. So therefore now our left phrenic nerve will travel across the lateral side of the left ventricle or the lateral border of the left ventricle in such a way that it will lie between the fibrous pericardium and over here the left mediastinal pleura. So this our left phrenic nerve is now traveling on the lateral side of the lateral ventricle. Outside is fibrous pericardium, but it will lie medial to the left mediastinal pleura. In short, between left mediastinal pleura and the fibrous pericardium. And then this left phrenic nerve will pierce, this is very important. What is it piercing? The left cupola of diaphragm. It will pierce this left cupola of the diaphragm and then it will form the left phrenic sympathetic plexus. It will form the left phrenic sympathetic plexus without forming a ganglion. It will not form a ganglion. No. This is one mark question answer. Right phrenic nerve will form a ganglion, but left phrenic nerve will not form, or it will not end in a ganglion. Here, instead it will pierce the cupola of the diaphragm, and then it will form the left phrenic sympathetic plexus. This is how the left phrenic nerve will terminate. Now, the termination of both the phrenic nerves, and we know where they are terminating, beneath the diaphragm. Now here this is important. Each phrenic nerve, we know that it is forming the sympathetic plexus, phrenic sympathetic plexus, right and left. It will divide in such a way that it will be divided into four sets of branches. What are those 4 sets of branches? For example, if I write over here, on the right side, the right phrenic nerve here will divide into 4 sets of branches in such a way that they are called anteromedial, the anterolateral branch, posteromedial branch, and posterolateral branches. Same branches on the left hand side. So each phrenic nerve, right and left, will divide into four sets of branches. What are the name of those branches? Anteromedial branches, anterolateral branches, posteromedial branches, posterolateral branches, right as well as left. Why these branches are important? For surgical dissection of the diaphragm. Whenever a surgeon wants to incise the diaphragm, the pattern of these branches, the knowledge of these branches is very important. And in the last, these branches, remember that the right phrenic ganglion or the right phrenic sympathetic plexus through these branches will supply the right side of the diaphragm. We know that. In addition to that, already which I have discussed with you, it will supply the right suprarenal gland, the inferior vena cava, the coronary and falciform ligaments of liver and gallbladder. And the left side, on the left side, the left phrenic sympathetic plexus will supply the left suprarenal gland. In addition to the diaphragm, it will supply the left suprarenal gland only. That is about the termination and the branches of phrenic nerve. And now if we come to the applied anatomy of the phrenic nerve, sometimes there is phrenic crushing of the diaphragm. In this, the phrenic nerve at the root of the neck is crushed. Root of the neck, the phrenic nerve is crushed in order to give rest to that corresponding half of the diaphragm. In which conditions? In certain diseases of the lungs, this phrenic crushing is observed. So in certain diseases of the lung, the phrenic crushing, where the phrenic nerve is crushed in the root of the neck to give or to immobilize or give rest to the corresponding half of diaphragm. And the second applied anatomical feature of the phrenic nerve will be that this phrenic nerve, as we have seen that it is having an additional rootlet also, accessory phrenic nerve in the form of C5, which will join with the nerve to subclavius. So it will carry the fibers through nerve to subclavius, and then it will join with the main trunk of phrenic nerve in the thorax whenever there is presence of accessory phrenic nerve through the rootlet of C5, but it will travel through nerve to subclavius. That is the second applied anatomical aspect. And now the third applied anatomical aspect of the phrenic nerve. Now here, any irritation of the central part of diaphragm because of inflammation of diaphragmatic pleura or peritoneum will be relayed to the tip of the shoulder or anterior surface of root of the neck. Through which nerve? Through the supraclavicular nerves. And why supraclavicular nerves? Because they are having the rootlets as C3 and C4, the same rootlets as phrenic nerve. Once again I'll repeat, this is a very important applied anatomical point which is asked in one mark question answer, that any irritation of the central region of diaphragm because of inflammation of diaphragmatic pleura or peritoneum, the pain will directly be related to or it will be referred to the tip of the shoulder. The pain will be referred to tip of the shoulder or anterior surface of root of the neck, because these pain fibers will be carried through the supraclavicular nerves. They are having the same rootlets, C3, C4. This is the third applied anatomy point of the phrenic nerve. So with this, we end our entire course of the phrenic now. Thank you very much.